the Avatamsaka Sutra, Book 17, The Merit of the Initial Determination for Enlightenment. Then Indra, king of gods, said to the enlightening being, Truth Wisdom, Son of Buddha, what is the extent of the merit attained when the enlightening being first determines to become enlightened? Truth Wisdom said, The truth of this is extremely deep, difficult to explain, difficult to know, difficult to discern, difficult to believe, difficult to experience, difficult to practice, difficult to master, difficult to think of, difficult to assess, difficult to approach and enter. Even so, by the power of the Buddha, I will explain it for you. O child of Buddha, suppose someone were to provide all comforts for all the beings of incalculable worlds in the eastern direction for a whole eon, and after that teach them to keep the 5 precepts with purity, and were to do the same thing in the southern, western, and northern directions, the 4 intermediate directions, and the zenith and nadir as well. Do you think this person's merit would be much? Indra said, Only a Buddha could know this person's merit. No one else could be able to assess it. Truth Wisdom said, This person's merit, compared to the merit of an enlightening being who has just determined to realize enlightenment, does not amount even to 100th, not even 1,000th, 100,000th, 1,000,000th, 100,000,000th, 1,000,000,000th, 100,000,000,000th, 1,000,000,000th, 100,000,000,000th, 1,000,000,000th, 1,000,000,000th. That merit does not amount to the smallest imaginable fraction of the merit of determination for enlightenment. Setting aside that example for the moment, suppose someone provided all the beings of the 10 infinities of the worlds with medicines for 100 eons, and then taught them to practice the path of 10 virtues, serving them thus for 1,000 eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the 4 meditations for 100,000 eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the 4 immeasurable states of mind for 100,000,000 eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the 4 formless concentrations for 10 billion eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the state of stream enterer for 100 billion eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the state of once returner for 10 trillion eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the state of non-returner for a quadrillion eons. Then teaching them to dwell in sainthood for a quintillion eons. Then teaching them to dwell in the path of the self-enlightened. Do you think this person's merit would be great? The king of the gods said, Only a Buddha could know the merits of such a person. Truth Wisdom said, This person's merit, compared to the merit of an enlightening being who has just determined to realize enlightenment, does not amount to 100th part, not even 1,000th, 100,000th, or even the smallest imaginable fraction thereof. Why? Because when the Buddhas first set their minds on enlightenment, they do not do so just to provide the beings of innumerable worlds in all directions with all comforts for 100 eons or 100,000 quadrillion eons. They do not set their minds on enlightenment just to teach that many beings to cultivate morality and goodness, just to teach them to abide in the 4 meditations, 4 immeasurable minds, and 4 formless concentrations, just to teach them to attain the states of stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, saint, and independently enlightened one. Rather, they set their minds on enlightenment to cause the lineage of the enlightened ones not to die out, to pervade all worlds, to liberate the sentient beings of all worlds, to know the formation and disintegration of all worlds, to know the defilement and purity of beings in all worlds, to know the inherent purity of all worlds, to know the inclinations, afflictions, and mental habits of all sentient beings, to know where all sentient beings die and are born, to know expedient means appropriate to the faculties of all sentient beings, to know the mentalities of all sentient beings, to know all sentient beings' knowledge of past, present, and future, and to know all realms of Buddhas are equal.